everyone to another episode of Amanda Homestead. My name is Amanda, and today what we're going to be doing is the second part of our two-part series on making and placing Warre bait hives in order to try and capture local swarms in your area. Okay, so in the first episode we showed you how to build a Warre bait hive using two old Warre boxes. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what we need to put inside this hive to make it more attractive to a swarm and more likely for you to catch one. And then also how to decide where to place these so that you're more likely to again, attract a swarm to it. Okay, and I am basing my suggestions on these two books. One is Swarm Traps and Bait Hives by McCartney Taylor. And the other one is, which has far more detail, is Honeybee Democracy by Thomas D. Seeley. So we're going to start with talking about what we need to put inside these hives to make them more attractive. So what we're really looking for is a couple of things. I mean, the nice part is these are old used Warre boxes, and that actually will help attract a swarm. In addition, we can also put old comb in there. Specifically, if you have brood comb, that's even better because it really, the smell of that kind of just is more attractive. And then we also want to put in some cotton balls that are soaked in lemongrass essential oil. The lemongrass actually acts as a lure, like it smells like the pheromone of the queen bee. And so that will make the scout bees that come looking for a hive site, that will make them kind of think that this is definitely a really good place. Okay, so first of all, let's show how we kind of get our comb attached to our top bars, and then also how we kind of get those lemongrass soaked cotton balls ready to go. So you might have, like I have here, a nice big top bar of already started brood comb, and that's perfect. You can put that in. If you don't, but you have some kind of old pieces of comb like this, oops, make sure you can see that, like this, you can actually attach that to a top bar and that will work the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to make a nice straight line. And then I've got a top bar where I've actually attached a piece of comb already, because what I do, let's see if I've got enough space actually for this one. Yeah, I do. Okay, is I'm just going to heat this up. You happen to have a blowtorch, that'd work. Okay, I just have a little barbecue lighter and I'm just melting the wax enough to kind of make it softer and sticky. And then I'm going to press it into this top bar like that. And then we're going to push it against the top bar. And that kind of gives the bees a bit of a template, right, of where to start. It's not perfect, it's patchy. Doesn't matter though, this will help attract them to your hive. Okay, in addition, we're going to set up our lemongrass oil lure. So I've got 4 of these tiny little Ziploc bags. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip a corner off, just like so, on each one. I've got 4 bait hives, so I'm going to do 4 of these bags. Okay, now I'm going to take my lemongrass oil and I'm going to put somewhere between 5 and 10 drops on each cotton ball. You could also use a napkin if you had it. Just happen to have cotton balls. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this cotton ball and put it inside one of these plastic Ziploc bags. And the idea then is that the Ziploc bag, the plastic bag, actually kind of helps prevent that lemongrass smell from weakening too quickly. All right, but it's still definitely going to be strong enough that the bees are going to be able to smell that. All right, we're going to do the rest of the bags now. So 5 to 10 drops is just the right amount. Okay, this is not one of those cases where more is better. We don't actually want to have too much on there, or it actually is going to then kind of drive the bees away. So this 5 to 10 drops on the cotton ball is just the right amount. Okay, so here's my bait hive. And you can see that it's got the entrance here that we talked about before. That's got hardware cloth over top to keep birds and other things from getting in. Okay, so I'm going to pop off a couple of these bars. So here is one of our cotton balls that's soaked in lemongrass that has the corner cut off the bag. So I'm going to put that into the bottom, kind of at the back. And then we put in our old comb. There we go. So the last thing that we need to do before we hang this hive is we need to screw on the lid. Because obviously, once you screw on the lid, you want to be ready to go, because then we can't really get into it unless we unscrew it. Okay, so our bait hive is now baited and is ready to be hung up in the tree. So what we want to do to hang it in the tree is you want a really big nail, okay? I know that we kind of talked about using screws to put this together so that way we can unscrew it if we happen to catch a swarm. But in this case, when we're nailing into whatever you happen to be hanging it on, in my case it's going to be a tree, we want a really big nail because that is going to take the weight of the box. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bait the rest of my hives, and then we'll show you how we choose where to place them. All right, so now that we have constructed our hive and got it appropriately baited, we need to think about what kind of place we want to hang these hives. So according to the book Honeybee Democracy, you kind of see the main kind of chart here of the things that we're thinking about. Okay, so we've done a few of the things already. So this fellow is located in northern New York State. So his kind of suggestions are a little bit more similar to kind of my situation than the other book where the fellow is in Texas. So you might want to think about that depending on where you are, because he's recommending that you have the entrance to the hive to be south facing to help with colony temperature regulation. I know that the guy in Texas is suggesting that you make sure that you keep your hive out of full sun and even like in complete shade. The other thing he's talking about is making it a little bit higher up to 5 meters is preferable to 1 meter. Now, I'm not going to do all that just because I don't want to get up on a ladder if I happen to catch a swarm and be climbing down a 5-meter ladder because I think that's dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of try and put it about, probably about 2 meters up, you know, and that's going to be the best that I can do and then manage safely. So we're going to compromise a little bit on that. All right, so let's go and we'll show you the different kind of sites that I've chosen, and we'll put our hives out. Okay, so this is going to be my first location, which is a nice big maple tree in the front of our yard, okay? And I am going to drive in the nail, probably, you know, as reasonably high as I can reach from kind of climbing on the second step of this ladder here. I don't want to be any higher up than that, because if we do manage to catch a swarm, I don't want to be up on a high ladder. So I'm going to take my nail and I'm going to drive it in at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so that way, if it's like this, you know, if the trap is swaying back and forth, it might work its way further along and then actually fall off. If it's on a 45-degree angle, it should stay nice and close against the tree. Okay, and then we're going to hang up our hive. Okay, and there you can see hive number 1 has been hung. Okay, this is our second location. This is an oak tree that is in the backyard, right kind of in front of the woods, okay, along the tree line. So I'm hoping that this might be a good location as well. And so again, we're going to have it face south. We're going to hammer in our nail, and then we're going to hang up our hive. Okay, and there is bait hive number 2. So my third location is actually on top of the run of my chickens, my chicken coop here, which is also kind of
against the kind of forest edge. I've placed the entrance facing east this time just because of the way that it's easier to kind of put the hive that way so that the weight is supported. This is just a full hive. It's not designed as just a bait hive. So that's another thing that you can do. If you happen to have like a flat roof or a flat garage or shed, you can kind of put your bait hive up there like that, okay? And my final bait hive location is just normally where I have my hives, right in the front of the house. And this one faces east. All right, so we've got two hives that are hung up in trees facing south. We've got one hive a little lower on the ground facing east, and then we have one hive higher facing east. So we're going to compare all those locations and see whether we get any swarms in any of these bait hives. All right, so what you should be doing is you should be checking these bait hives at least every 1 to 2 weeks to see whether or not you've got a swarm in any of them. It's going to be a little bit easier for me because they're right on my property, so I'll probably kind of walk out there every couple of days. If I start to see any scouting activity where you start to see some bees kind of floating around the hive or going in and out of the hive, I'll record that so you guys can kind of see what scouting behavior looks like. And then obviously if we get a swarm, I will totally record the whole thing. All right, everybody, so thank you for joining me on another episode of I Demand a Homestead. If you like this video, please feel free to press the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that way you never miss another one of my videos. All right, everybody, have a great day. Goodbye.